This is Garivision Indigenous Network. Garifuna Suada.
Join us as we explore the rich history and vibrant heritage of the Garifuna people. We will dive deep into our roots in St. Vincent, our resistance to European colonialism, our exile from our ancestral land in 1797, and our migration from Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, and Belize. And we will not forget our struggle to preserve our language, culture, and ancestral tradition. We will also shed light on the responsibilities and contributions of the Garifuna people and other pressing issues like Garifuna land rights, cultural erosion, reparation, and the restoration of the Garifuna people. Each episode shines a light on pressing topics such as the rights of indigenous people, self-determination, and civic advocacy, emphasizing the strength and determination of a people that continue to thrive and enrich the world.
Culture meets conversation.
This is Garivision Indigenous Network, where the Garifuna culture thrives. From beautiful Piney by the Sea to Barranco, Georgetown, St. Mike, Hopkins, and the culture capital, Dangriga.
Let's go.
Yes, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Garivision Indigenous Network, where culture meets conversation. I'm your host, Amari. Thank you for joining. I want to introduce you to my co-host, Francois Estrada.
Yes, and good evening to each and every one of you. And as usual, Brother Amadi Lino, it's always a pleasure co-hosting the show with you. We have a lot that we have to talk about. And to all our viewers, thank you for tuning in. If you can, like and share the show so people can see it. So if you can, like and share. Brother Amadi, back to you.
All right. Yeah, Francois. So today, a lot is going on, but we just want to touch something on some of the problems we have and some of our solutions here at the Garivision Indigenous Network. We just want to share with our viewers some of the problem that we already know we have in our Garifuna community. We just want to share some of our solutions. Some of the topic we'll discover is the loss of language and the traditional ceremonies and art, the economic empowerment, the unemployment, underemployment in the Dangriga and majority Garifuna community, the education and youth leadership, cultural education, civic education in our community, government neglect, rights and violations, and lack of transparency in our institutions. So this is the subject that we want to talk about. We want to talk about some of our problems that we are having. Number one, we have the loss of language. And we talk about the importance of language and the power of language, Francois. And here again, Francois, we always want to have our viewers interact with us as we go along. And I want also, Francois, because when we talk about language, we have to understand, first question we could ask them that, why did the colonizers force the Garifuna people not to speak their language? There are many instances where our language were not honored, whether you're in school, whether you're in businesses, right? There's a lot of reasons how we lost our language. And now the question is, why? Why would they change our language? Not only because they didn't understand, they could have learned the language and communicated with us in our language, but they rather you change we not to practice our language and learn their language and speak their language. So again, my understanding and for the importance of language. Number one, again, language, the first, you can tell the story through the language. You can tell your history when it's in your language. When it's in your language, you control it. When it comes to communication, when it comes to information, if I am the one who's going to translate the information, if I'm the one that's going to write the communication that goes out to people, I can say whatever I want to say because it's in my language, right? And not their language. Another thing that is important, Francois, that you could relate to maybe, let's say, you know how Garifuna people are ashamed to speak their language, right? You with me, Francois?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Okay. So when I ask that, you know how some of our people, we are ashamed of speaking our language, right? And I want to share with you, there are times when language becomes so beneficial. I can be doing business, you and me, Francois. I could be in Guatemala, I can be in Mexico or whatever. Whenever we're trying to negotiate our business and the Hispanic or the Spanish people are speaking in their native tongue, you and me who don't speak Spanish are at a loss to counter the negotiation with the foreign language, right? Now think about it like this now. What happened is that when you and me, after they spoke their native language, their tongue, you and me step aside and say, now we start out our native tongue and put them at a loss. They don't know what we are saying. We don't know what they're saying. But my point is that the fact that you and me could communicate a language that they don't understand, that's an advantage between you and me, right? That when we have our language, that is not somebody else. I'll give you another way how you can see how language come in handy as a Garifuna. You could be crossing customs from Miami, Florida, or maybe from Houston, Texas, Francois. And something is in your bag or whatever, you have friends, you guys traveling, and the custom officers come in and you want to do something fast, so you want to make a quick, you just want to say something fast without the custom knowing what you're saying. Many a times, I'm sure Garifuna people in the United States find yourself in situation where your language come in handy because you wanted to speak loud enough so the other Garifuna can hear, but to the point where the people around you cannot understand.
Right.
That is the power of language, right? So again, that's, to me, again, that's my understanding, that's my importance of language. And for us to lose the language and don't understand the importance of it, because we take it lightly as if the language is going to come back on its own. For instance, you know, there's absolutely no way for Garifuna language to come back unless we go get it, unless we choose to learn it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. So I know that they're teaching Garifuna language at Gulisi and at some online platforms. But do you think that from the students who learn Garifuna in Gulisi, do you think there are any students who can hold a conversation with anybody in Garifuna? And I know National Garifuna Council has been talking about teaching Garifuna for ages. So my question to you and to the audience, do you know of anyone who can hold a conversation in Garifuna from learning Garifuna in schools?
Yeah, no, I don't know anyone, Francois, and I would even go beyond. Go say that I hardly know any person. I would say, I would say under the age of 30, maybe even 13, Dangriga, maybe even older, who can actually somebody I consider fluent in the Garifuna language. I know any young person that can speak Garifuna fluently. Only if I go to Hopkins and stuff I'm talking about in Dangriga, I don't know any young person, and hardly if they're not over the age of 40 or something like that, where they learn from their grandparent, because clearly the new parents are not teaching the language, right? So once all the granny and gone, all the grandparents and the grandfather, it seems like so goes our language. I don't understand.
You know what? Let me read a post, a comment from Melissa Rock. She said, it is only indigenous people and African Americans or black people around the world that were not allowed to speak their language? Oh, that's the question.
Yeah.
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 Wait, hold on. Let me finish. Hispanics, Koreans, Japanese continued and still speak their language without being forced to stop speaking their language for centuries.
Right. Because, and again to Francois, I think that our people, we really don't understand. You know what? I think we have to pound more. I just realize it now. We really have to pound more on what colonization is. I think that our people really don't understand what colonization is, and that it is not a good thing then, because it's that if you're okay to be colonized, I'm colonized, you're colonized, but we have a different mentality, right? We are getting out of this colonial mentality, but we are subject to colonization. We are the people who are colonized. We wear, right? We have a different name. We practice a different religion. We wear different clothes. So it has to do with our whole being. Everything was, the whole thing was changed, right? So in addition to, Francois, you want to say something before I continue?
You know what? We missed our station identification break.
Yes.
You want us to do it now?
Yes. Let's take that. Sorry about that, viewers, guys. We have to take a quick 10-second station identification before we continue into the show. So stay right there with us, and we'll just take this quick station identification, and we'll be right back.
All right, back to you, Brother Amadi.
Right, all right. Thanks again. Yes. Yeah, so again, Francois, well, let me just touch on one more thing on the language, right? I realize, right, and I think Belizeans, especially Dangrega and other Belizeans in the country, I think, experienced this before. You can go talk to a lot of Hispanic people, Spanish people, right? And some of them, they have the habit. They even tell this to their kids, but they're lying, right? That no habla inglés, no English. They always say that they don't speak. They're lying. How they kind of brainwashing their children also to speak their language, because they are impressing on their children not to speak English, no English, only Spanish. So the way how Spanish people mentally, psychologically deal with their children and their surroundings, I think that's what we can see. I could take that. That's something positive to take away from them, right? For my kids to come, or a visitor come to my house, and my daughter and my son said, "Daddy, this and Garifuna. No, mama here." Right? I could take it. No, talk English, because the Spanish push that on their people. That's why they speak Spanish, man. And we are one people, Francois. When you even attack Garifuna, we rather tease them rather than even try.
Yeah,
right?
So
can't attack Garifuna, attack block up, right? We ridicule you.
Yeah, but Amadi, so what is it? What is that solution for that? For
well, yeah, so the solution, we need the language to be taught, and I'm not saying this on no lower budget kind of thing. I'm saying that Garifuna language should be taught in schools, and it should be our first language. The Chinese people, their language is first. Their first language is I don't know if it's what is called Cantonese or what's the other two great language in China that they speak, right? And one is Cantonese, and the other one I forget the other one.
Mandarin.
And Mandarin, right. So they would speak those language. If you talk to the Spanish, they speak the Spanish. You talk to the, like Melissa Rock just said, right? Their language, a Chinese, if you are Garifuna, your first language should be Garifuna. If you are African, your first language should be African dialect. If you are European, your first language should be you. That's what make you you. That's what make you a person. Without your land, Francois, without your language, you're nobody. You're not a person anymore. They rob you of your. That's why we're still in this condition, Francois. If we don't have our religion, if we don't have our name, if we don't have our language, then who are we?
We are lost people, but
Oh, but I think that I said we are prisoner, like Michael Flores said. We are basically children of prisoners of war. We haven't since 1797. We have not regained our independence, man.
well,
We've been in exile all over 200 and how many years you said?
yeah,
We've been in exile.
let's not forget that we are still prisoners of war, right?
Right, exactly.
We are still prisoners of war, and I believe that the way to teach Garifuna would be to teach conversational Garifuna, right?
Right, yeah.
At least that's the way I look at this this language, because if we teach conversational Garifuna, I think there will be a faster way of learning the language. But that's just my perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, conversational, music. Those are ways I know those are there. No, they have many ways how to they can do it from shop, but I think the thing is that we need to be as much as the English taught us to learn English, that we were so consumed with English literature and English Bible, English booklets or whatever it is. We need to do the same thing in Garifuna. Create Garifuna literature. Create Garifuna booklets. We need to start educate our people and in the language, right? So I think that's one. Where we can teach the language in schools, teach the language in community centers, right? It has to be.
I was saying conversational Garifuna, right? Because every day you use certain sentences every single day. Every day, like you use what time is it? Kaora, Ida Bianchi, Lamadi, you're hungry. What time is it? Are you going to school today? Are you feeling good today? Are you going to the market? Where are you going? What time is it? See, so I believe that conversational Garifuna would be the way to start, but that's just my perspective.
Yeah, Francois, look, they have books called French. It could be Spanish. It could be English. They got Spanish for Dummies, the Idiot's Guide to Learning French or Spanish. They could have the Idiot's Guide to Learning Garifuna or Garifuna for Dummies. Do the same. That's how other countries do it. The moment you come up with one, we come up with one too, right? But again, and then there's a way. Look, the other thing that we don't look at our language, Francois. I just mentioned Idiot's Guide for Learning Spanish, Spanish for Dummies. The language, there's the Spanish language, the French language, the English language is for sale, right? Because the language has an economic benefit to it. That if you learn Spanish, you can communicate and do business if you learn French. So if Garifuna people would work on our economic development along with our language in order to negotiate and do business with us, now the outsiders, they will be interested them to want to learn Spanish. Let's say, for example, I'll give you a hypothetical here, right? All these Hispanic we have in Dangriga, right? All these Hispanic or non-Garifuna in Dangriga. We're going to change everything into Garifuna. You can stay and get Dangriga if you want, but you got to go take a Garifuna as a second language class and you have to pay for it. It's not for free. Just like how we go to America, so you have to pay for learning English, you have to pay for learning the Garifuna language. So the Garifuna language will become an asset. Because in order to live here, in order to do business, in order to survive, it would be important to learn the language.
You know what? For people who always say we're always talking, we are doing our part right here on Garivision Indigenous Network, because we have the Garifuna word of the day every Thursday, and when we're in Dangriga, everyone who comes to the studio, I greet them in Garifuna. Right, and they have to answer me one word in Garifuna, because
Right.
Everyone who comes to the studio in Danguga, when they walk to the door, I say, Biti Benafi or Biti Guyon, Biti Ramawe, Ida Biangi, right? And
Yeah.
when I sit with you, when I sit with Farrakhan, brother Jarrison and Farrakhan, when I sit with you guys, we try to chop it up in Garifuna, right? So we are doing our part in maintaining the Garifuna culture. But let me read a comment here from Janice Coleman. She said, we need to teach our children Garifuna from preschool and kindergarten. If the parents want to learn, then they can come to school with their children and have an interactive class. You know what? We've always said this, man. We have to bring the children. We have to bring the children. Why do you think that when I was shooting these music videos, I wanted children? Why do you think that when I wanted to run Garivision and Dangriga, I wanted to bring the children? Because we can teach the children. We can teach the children, and it starts with the children. So the children. Thanks, Janice Coleman, for that comment. Then we have another comment here from Melissa. She said, "What Garifuna books, including those that teach the language, are available for purchase, and where can they be purchased?" That's a good one, because I don't know where the books are. I don't know where you can purchase these books, but I know they're available. I just don't know where.
Yeah.
So maybe we can get that information and we can share it with our viewers.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think that that's what I'm saying. It's not it's when you said there information out there, it's not there hasn't been any serious attempt at restoring the Garifuna language. Right? There's no serious attempt. Had it been, surely they would have seen some difference. But again, so I think that the Garifuna language I am saying it should be our first language. It only makes sense. You know what? Not only sense, common sense.
It make
to speak your language. How are you gonna be somebody you don't speak your language? You know what's fun? So when I'm the type of person, when somebody meet me and I'm a Garifuna and you don't speak the language, you're the one that they're supposed to talk about Bijigatao, right? Because how you don't speak one language? What's wrong with you? Right? That's how it look. But again, we know through slavery, through colonization, and all that happened while we don't speak our language, right? But now we know better, and we have to do better by now.
You know, let me read this post. Let me read this comment from Janice Coleman again. And this is how I started to learn Garifuna. She said, learn Garifuna through the music. That's why it's important to pronounce the word of a song properly. Singing a song is saying the words. Remove drums and say the words. Listen, okay. In 1984, I was in the military, and I was in the Persian Gulf for a while. So while I was in the Persian Gulf, I had a Walkman, and in the Walkman, I had some Garifuna music, right? And that's how I started to remember these Garifuna words. And like Jenny said, sing the songs. When you sing the songs, and she said, remove the drums and say the words. So that's a brilliant idea. So when I was in the military, like I said, I had a Walkman, and that's how I listened to the music, and that's how I started to remember all the words. So great comment, Janice.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Francois, and in addition to the solution to the language in the schools, we also need to create more cultural programs. Right now, it's after 5 o'clock, you could go around Danriga. You really don't find no programs going on for kids, especially cultural programs. Like I said, I'm always hoping that it could be Monday to Friday, maybe 3 days a week, 5 days a week. Kids get off of school in the late in the evening. They can go in the afternoon to go learn language. They can go participate. They're learning something cultural about listen to Garifuna story, go listen to whatever it is, older people talking about the Garifuna history. Mm-hmm. If they want, they can be learning the how to dance punta traditionally, right? Teach the girls and the boys how to dance punta traditionally. So that can be for our tourism industry coming. Learn the different dances, what they mean. Because you ever interview our Garifuna people and you hear how when they, no, I'm sorry to say like this, that we have let me tell you one of the problems I find with our people, Francois, that they don't know something and you ask them you do ask them a question, they don't know the answer, and they will still answer you as if they give you an educated answer. And I know if they realize it usually turn out on screen sometimes as absurd, right? So I really hope for better with that with our people. So meaning that everybody needs to understand and have a good understanding of what our history is and what certain music mean, certain ceremony mean, and every fabric, every step, every layer we need to understand. When they talk about gunjay, when they talk about chumba, right? And I'm just naming this off the top of my head, but I'm sure they got some more stories behind it, just the dance itself, right? And whoever participate in these programs, they are supposed to know these things and share it with visitors who comes into our community and want to experience it. Because if you go around and you go right now to each shed, and I pick even one of the guys who up at the drum, even one of the one who they sing, tell me about Gunjay, tell me about Parana, we all know about the history, and you are here side, you are here straight and side, we're coming when in song, sit for sale. It is not fit for packaging and sell to a visitor when they come in, because it does not tailor, it does not work, it didn't word it good, it's sketchy, right? I don't know if you ever listen to them. I listen, and that's why I think that this is a solution to solve that problem. That's a problem, and there's a solution, right? Create more programs, education programs, so this thing has to be repetitive. It cannot be every 19, they don't know, they're ready for Garifuna.
Yeah, but
right? Then out of a
but Marty, when you were growing up, let me just read a comment from Jairus son Farrakhan. He said, I grew up with both parents able to speak the language, but it wasn't something they spoke to me. So parents are also responsible for teaching the language. Brother Marty, when you were growing up, did your parents force you to speak or learn Garifuna?
That's what I'm saying, Francois. My grandmother never forced me, but she would always remind me in Garifuna, must be Dimra Binazio, must be friend Rama. You have to learn, you have to speak a language. I remember those words. That's why if you hear me speak the little I do know, it's sung as I have a native tongue to the Garifuna language. Because I have my grandmother, and then I have my grandfather. He was the one demanding that if you want to talk to him, you have to talk in a Garifuna. But at that time, I would ask somebody older what I want, and then they go and ask him for me because I couldn't do it myself.
See, and you know,
right?
and that's the problem with a lot of us, man. That's the problem with a lot of people that I know. When we were growing up, our parents didn't speak Garifuna in the house. They didn't stress that you should speak the language. I know when I was growing up, my grandmother and my parents, they didn't stress that we speak the language. You know, and if they had, then I wouldn't be in this predicament I'm in now. And you, Jairus and Farrakhan, we wouldn't be in this predicament that we are in if our parents had spoken to us in Garifuna and maintained that the language must be spoken in the house, but they didn't do that for us. So it's unfortunate now because now we're all struggling.
Yeah, but you know what, Francois?
Yeah.
This is what I want to ask you, and I could ask all our viewers who are Garifuna, right? Especially those in Danbriga.
Yeah.
So I give you this, just follow me along good, my viewers. Follow along real good.
Yeah.
Before I was born, this is what I'm assuming that everybody in a Danbriga, right? In Danbriga, who was Garifuna, was speaking Garifuna at home, inside the home and outside the home, correct?
Correct.
So we would have said like 1950, 1960. Pretty much you go to Danbriga, especially Southside Lakeland, is pure Garifuna, right?
Yeah, well, I know for sure in the 40s it was all Garifuna, yeah. But in the 50s and 60s, yeah.
Right. So I even remember me growing up as a little boy, they were still Creole, but especially the old people in my community, it was majority Garifuna from all adults. Only children speak Creole. So the question I wanted to ask before I was born, I want to know just the fact that's in Lakeland or in Dangriga in a whole, where did Creole come from and how did Creole enter? For example, I asked myself, I grew up in a yard, 1279 Lakeland. I asked my parent, I said, wait, how did Creole, you grew up speaking Garifuna, your mom, your dad, everybody speaking Garifuna. How Creole enter the yard? How Creole get in the yard? Right? Somebody brought Creole home. So, if you could ask, and I'm asking all this to all our viewers, go back in time, if you could ask your aunt, ask your mother, your father, whoever it is, how did Creole enter your yard? Not Dangriga, but in your yard. I asked, how did Garifuna enter my yard? I know how he got into my yard, right? But I want to know if everybody knows, because now we can piece the story and find out that why is it that when my grandmother taught Garifuna to me, I respond in Creole, and she tolerated me to speak in Creole, and so that she tell me, no, don't respond in Creole. Respond in Garifuna like the Spanish people, but I tell their Spanish grandson to respond in Spanish, not in Creole. Then my mother is totally Creole, right? So then the only time I would remember when my mom would speak Garifuna to me is maybe when we got visitors who are non-Garifuna. Hebe, right? They should have said that kind of thing in front of friends, so they don't know what happened. But all I see is just action. I just move because I know.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Let me read a comment from Melissa Rock. She said, my grandmother spoke the language fluently in the house, so that my brother, cousins, and I could learn the language. I later moved to the States. My mom didn't speak their language fluently, but she understood it. I learned the language from music and remember what my grandmother taught me. And now I am taking a Garifuna course to learn the language so that I can speak the language more fluently. You know what? And sometimes when you have a partner, and you have to, you should speak the language to your partner as much as you can, right? Because if one partner doesn't understand the language or doesn't speak it, then and you speak it, then you should speak it. Like I do here, I say certain things in Garifuna. And I know my wife doesn't understand, so I try to break it down to her, and I try to explain to her what the words mean in English.
Right.
So if you have a partner and your partner speaks Garifuna fluently, then your partner should be able to teach you.
Right, yeah. Yeah. And again, Francois, even with this, right, this is what I'm thinking about. To get especially young people and especially older people to learn Garifuna language. Again, it's not in my hand, no power is in my hand, but I would find a way to offer some type of incentive to encourage this. For example, I'll tell you about, and we'll get to the economic empowerment in this era, where I'm saying that I always used to say when I wanted to join National Garifuna Council, I used to, I was so excited, right? I said, man, you got water taxi, you got vegetable style, you got the whole tourism industry with the tour association, you got farming, animal husbandry, got so much things to do, right? And I used to say that the National Garifuna Council, basically, right, could benefit from each one of these things that I just mentioned, Francois, right? And I lost my train of thought on that one. I was trying to tie that in with something else, but
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let me say this. Maybe you'll get your train of thought back. I said earlier that the best way to learn Garifuna language would be conversational Garifuna, right? Because every morning there's a routine. You wake up, you're gonna go brush your teeth, you're gonna go make breakfast, you're gonna go to work. So if you say these words every morning, Beti Benafi, okay, Neighbor Galida Gusini Gusina, Lunegi, right? I'm going to the kitchen to eat. Then Nebuga Wadagman. Then, you know, if you say these words every day, you will learn.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah. So again, yeah, we need these community-based. And the last one to the Garifuna language in schools and centers, community-based cultural program. And I hear people talk about the convalescent home or the elder senior home, where it's a one-stop shop where you can, if you want to get some stories from the early days, you can always go to this place and talk to these seniors who would be at these residential places, and we could talk to them, archive these information, start saving these information down. Again, it'll take a serious effort. But I know I was saying something tied along with what Melissa was saying, but I lost my train of thought because it was taking me also into the economics. So let's get to our second problem then, right?
Should we do a commercial break?
Second, yeah, that's a half an hour. All right, folks. Well, let's take this commercial break here. About is this a song by Francois?
No, it's a commercial break.
Okay, all right, guys. We'll just take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
All righty. Back to you.
All right. Yeah. So, sorry about that. Yeah, we know we have a last. Sometimes time really move fast. I was waiting for that half an hour, but anyway, you only go fast when you're having fun.
Right. So
we want to talk. Yeah.
I know the other issue we had was economic empowerment and land protection.
Right. Yeah, and then we got the beach, the coastal erosion with the beach, right?
Yeah.
So my main thing about this unemployment, right? Never mind that. It's okay. Yeah, so my thing is about this unemployment is that we have a lot of Garifuna people who are fishermen, women, men and women, right? Fisher folks. We also have Garifuna people who are farmers. But Francois, you wouldn't believe. I would try to share this story briefly with you guys, our viewers, and realize that this is still going on today, right? That Garifuna people had a lot of land, right? We have all these land, southern Belize, right? But the government never gave us freehold title to the land because it was carry reserve, it was communal, give all kind of the nonsense why. And then at the same time, they restrict Garifuna people from agricultural endeavors, right? So those were some of the things that affected the Garifuna people, not giving them land. Especially after Hurricane Hatay, when they lost a lot of their nets and a lot of damages. You know, we never talk about all the damages that the Garifuna people suffer without, and nobody ever helped them. You ever thought about that, Francois? But that's another subject, right? Just think about in Florida, all these hurricanes, these floods, and just find out the after effect, what happened to people who went through flood, who went through a fire. They say that a certain amount of people might die from the flood, right, Francois, in America, right? But the people who lost their homes and all their life savings, they died from what we call extra factors. They didn't have to do with that. It's just the stress it brings.
Yeah, the mental.
Right. So that's what the Garifuna people went through, right? When the hurricane had it, and only that they was already dealing with a whole lot of other government pressure colonial tactics, while at the same time with the little they have, hurricane come and destroy everything. They can't go get. Remember, Garifuna couldn't get loan because they can't communal land. You can't get loan per land.
Yeah,
everything Garifuna owned, Francois, was not from a bank, man.
Yeah, let's not forget, man. We arrived in Belize in 1802, and before we arrived in Belize, we were in exile. Can you imagine exile and all the mental problems and mental anguish that we have been going through from the time we arrived in Belize, from the time we left St. Vincent to the time we arrived in Belize, and then Hurricane Hattie came and destroy your home. Now you're mentally broken. You're going through depression. You don't know what it is because there's no one to talk with about the issues that we're having. Even today, right there in Dangriga, people are going through mental anguish. And there's no one that they can really sit down and talk with.
Yeah. But again, Francois, you know what? I just want to I want to say something a little bit different from what we were saying, right? You know how when you look at world government, you look at Donald Trump, he is the president, right? So many people willing to defend him and, the military. You look in Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, how the people of the Burkina, they are there to support the leader, right? Mm-hmm. Because a leader is held at high esteem. Now think about it like, what if somebody would have killed Donald Trump? What if somebody would have killed Briceño, right? Belizeans would be up in arms about killing the prime minister, right? Unjustly, if China would find a way to invade the United States and assassinate Donald Trump, America would be up in arms. They would want a war with China, right?
Right.
Well, you see, Donald Trump is the president of the United States. John Briceño, all right, is the prime minister of Belize. Those are the head of state, right? Right? Not in John Briceño is the head of government, not the state. Is the monarchy, but for lack of a better word, he is the head of state. John Briceño, Donald Trump. No. Our prominent chief, Joseph Chatowe, he was the head of state, and they kill him. If we kill the king right now, there's no difference than killing Joseph Chatowe, The king right now in England. If we should kill him, it's equal to what they did to us. The only difference is that they kill our people and displace us as well. But they kill our leader, who they had no respect for, and against Garifuna people right now, not understanding that, man, they just killed we leader, man. And we're silent. We don't know nothing about it. Right? If you kill Donald Trump, if you kill Briceño, if you kill Sean what's her name in Mexico, the leaders of country, they don't do those things, man. The only people, again, is European, and up to today, they did the Libya and all over the world. Right? But again, I said I was going to digress and I'll come back. Yeah.
Let me. Yeah. There's a little bit of digression here, but let me read this comment. Melissa Rocks. She said, "My great grandfather, Katarina Benguche, owned Benguche area. Right, that was my family. That was our family. He owned Benguche area. After the devastation of Hurricane Hattie, he was asked by the government to use the Benguche area to help the community rebuild. He also went to war and was given that land. Did the government pay him for the land? I don't know, but I can tell you, I know Rich. Huh?
Well, you see, Francois, what happened is, right? Yeah? Garifuna people no believe in what we call private land. Like how the Europeans deal with private land, right? Mm-hmm. Garifuna people are more communal land, but a lot of people got a wrong concept of communal land. People believe that communal land belongs to everybody, literally. Communal land belongs to everybody collectively, not individually. I can have 10 acres of land privately in my communal land. You follow me? My 10 acres or my 5 acres is private under the Garifuna communal land because you know that I don't want you the Garifuna, I the Garifuna, this one the Garifuna, right? And we could still space out and we know. Communal land does not mean that. But I'm saying what the European, when somebody just mentioned about the land, is that they have a different understanding. What they created, the European created, is something false. Francois, I will die with this belief. You cannot buy and sell land. You can wipe everybody off the face of the planet, land will be here, and you can bring them back, and land will be here. Which part of the land is yours? Anybody, if you could just mix up all the human beings all over the face of the earth, which land are for you? When we met land here when we were born, Francois. What these Europeans did is come up with what you call they create a freehold title where they put a description of your land with a title and the description of the land, and then they say, oh, now you can sell land. Now I can sell 10 acres of land in Dangriga to somebody all the way to Australia. How absurd, man, right? The person that Australia can't come for the land, you can't carry the land, but why are they buying the land?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's an illusion, I believe, again. My position is that what these Europeans have created, because, again, now when you have this 10 acres of land, you can also use this as collateral, right? So you can make money. Again, commercial purposes, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let's get. All right. So back we talk about the unemployment, underemployment, coastal erosion. The main thing, because we are farmers and we are fishermen and farmers, then it would. I'll give you an example. Francois, when you go to Spain, right, or when you go to those European countries, right, like Spain, because Spain not got nothing when you see the country where barren and desert, but you know what they do? They produce a lot of wine. Let's use Dangriga. And when you go to America, you ever see America agricultural farming? You will see about 10 miles as you go all the way. You see corn, right? You see until the eyes can take apple, right? Georgia's peaches, right? Maple syrup, right? Francois, in America, you see how they farming?
Right.
Right here in Dangriga, from you can say from Bulisi, all the way to 6 miles could have been a truck of citrus owned by Garifuna people. On the other side, it could be grapefruit owned by Garifuna people. You follow the difference? So you see how small-minded we think that we can be the #1 country in Belize, where for the rest of our lives, all we do is produce food, banana, plantain, cassava, orange, lime, and it's just trucks and trucks on everything. Guess what? It's a billion-dollar company. That's how we're talking about. Get the machinery. Simple as that. We already got the land.
And we can do it. And we can.
Of course, man.
You know? We can do it because we've done it before. But on that note, let's take a niceness commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about niceness.
All right, cool.
Niceness.
I guess on coffee break.
Energy booster, available exclusively at Garivision Indigenous Network Studios, #1 Rice Street in Dangriga. Phone or WhatsApp 613-6073. 613-6073. Niceness. It's good for the young and the old. No preservatives or additives. All natural. Niceness.
The road. Yeah. So let's not forget that when I came back to Dangriga, I said I was going to produce niceness. It's an energy drink that I created, and I said I was going to employ Garifuna people. So this was my economic development growth for Dangriga. Niceness is a non-preservative energy drink. And I plant the cane right there in Dangriga, and hopefully I intend to plant everything that we need for this production right there in Dangriga, maybe except for the nutmeg. But we can plant the cayenne pepper, the ginger. We can plant everything we need right there in Dangriga and provide economic growth and economic development for a couple of individuals. Back to you, Brother Amadi.
So yeah, So again, yeah, and I want the people to know, Francois, sugar cane, it is indeed one of the oldest energy booster, right? I was watching a documentary in India when sugarcane went to India. They were doing they were following the trace how the sugarcane came about and how they started to merge them together and get different varieties, right? So they used to use it, like I said, when you're tired, you're slow, and you take a bite, it give you a quick rush of energy, right? And that's the niceness, along with the cayenne, along with the ginger, immune system, energy booster. Get it while it's available. So again, Francois, some of the solutions to our economic problem I mentioned, we need to do the fisher cooperative for the fishing and farming cooperative, fishing cooperative, train young people into fishing and farming, right? And other arts that goes along with the fishing and farming or craft, and partnering with other organizations or other international bodies that we can start to bring economic boost into our community.
Man, you know what? When I was a little boy, right? My grandmother used to take me to Belize City to sell starch, cassava, mango. And you know what? And I didn't want to go because to me it was so embarrassing for me at that young age. But not knowing that the Garifuna people, man, we had what it took. We were living off the land, right? We were selling our produce, and we were living off the land. But I didn't realize how economically beneficial it was to sell your product off your land. And today, today the young children in the jungle, they don't have a clue what it's like to farm the land and to make money off your farm and to live off your farm.
Right, yeah. And Francois, again, the thing is, I always tell people, man,
yeah,
everybody have to eat, and almost all food are grown if they're not for the seed. So you need to grow your food, even if it's just a little in your backyard. Francois, how people talk about they're responsible. You have to be economically responsible, meaning that you are managing money effectively, right? And growing your own food is economically sound. So for people to want to plant, it is, to me, economically unsound. Because if you don't plant your sweet pepper, if you don't plant your potato, if you don't plant your pepper, this is what I keep saying to my friends, the people I know personally, Francois. If you don't plant it, you will have to buy it. You will have to buy it if you don't plant it, right?
Do you remember what happened? Do you remember what happened during COVID? Do you remember when people were begging for bananas and they couldn't find food? Right? So COVID was a drastic warning, people in Dangriga. COVID was a warning. You know what? Listen, farm your land because something else is going to come. Something devastation is coming. It's coming again. And this time when it comes, you're gonna be caught with your pants down, and you won't have your land. You won't have food. It's gonna happen again. It's gonna happen again. So be prepared.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So yeah, Francois. There's a few more we got. We're talking about one of our problem again with our young people, lack of cultural. We're talking about language in the beginning. Now we are talking about cultural education. Everything, cultural education. The youths are lacking in cultural education, and the youths are also lacking in civic pride and education, right? And again, understanding you as an individual, your purpose in life, your worth, and your value. That all have to do with civic education, right? That have to do with your civic education. It's an everyday thing. They don't teach it at school. They don't teach it in your home, but it's one of the most vital things. It's a funny thing that they would press, that they would encourage that you need to read the Bible. Every day you need to read the Bible, but they would never encourage believers to read the Constitution every day. The very thing that governs your life. The Bible don't go there. Again, if you're spiritual and you're religious and you're a Christian, you can say the Bible governs your life, but not even that. The Constitution that you live under, as corrupt as it is, governs our lives, right? So it would behoove anybody to read the rules that govern your lives, and that is the Constitution, right? It is your duty as a responsible citizen to read the Constitution and stay informed with things or laws that affect you. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. You can't play a law like I didn't know, I never want to read. All this is no excuse, right? It is your duty as a responsible adult to pick up a newspaper, take the time to watch the news, just to know what the hell is going on in my community and in my country, and if I should have a voice to say whether you agree with it or not. People don't do those things, Francois. We watch the news right now. What is going on? Belizeans are confused. Belizeans are lost. They don't even know what the hell they catch saying, Francois.
Yeah, but Amadi, you remember when the children used to come to the studio, and I used to tell them we have to say something in Garifuna, right?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said earlier, man, we are doing our part. We are doing our part because the children are our future, right? And if it's a cycle, man, because the children are going through the same thing that I went through when I was their age. So it's a vicious cycle. I know.
Right.
I know. I have a friend in Danguga right now. He's my age, and he has children. Him and his wife are Garifuna, and they don't speak Garifuna to the children. And I told him, bruh, listen, you are doing the same thing that we did when we were your children age, because our parents didn't speak the language to these children. So you and your wife speak Garifuna. I think that you should speak the language to your children, because it's a vicious cycle, man. It's a vicious cycle, and the cycle is just going around.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Well, we only have a few more on the list, and it's the time almost. So
yeah.
The others. The education, yeah, go ahead.
No, I guess we can end here at cultural education, and we can start this again next Tuesday.
Well, I only got a few more. I'll just wrap it up real quick before because we talk about the problem was the lack of cultural education and civic pride and education. Mm-hmm. The solution, like I said again, I'm just reinforcing again, not only teaching the Garifuna language, but teaching the Garifuna history, creating literacy material, literacy booklets, literacy pamphlet. Start to get these information also people will get familiar with it. Have parents involved. The final for that one, in order to have effective, we are complaining about good leadership in NGC, good leadership in our community. Again, it would buttress us to start to create and train up and coming, competent, effective Garifuna leaders. We can do that now. We can get them when they're young, they are malleable. We can mold them and shape them into the leaders that we want, right? We form youth leadership councils so we could start to train them up. By the time they should be experienced by the time they're 21, 22 years old, right?
Yeah.
Well, oh, sorry. I see something wrong with my...
Oh, David. Oh, okay.
I come back? Yeah, all right. Yeah, so the last one, finally. The government neglect and our violations, right, from the South. They've been neglecting us and they've been violating us. We just want to demand changes and legal reform We want to start the file transparency report. We want to create, like I said, the Garivision Indigenous Network. We would like to try to work aside the National Garifuna Council, pushing them, or maybe we can be your shoulder. We don't have to push, but we can be your shoulder so you can move together, so it could be easier and they don't have to be weighty just for the NGC alone, because they are not alone. And if we are with them, Taifa or Uncut or Mike, whoever it is, if we could let them know if they're doing the right thing, then they got our support, right? Finally, along with filing the report, creating the committee, and to assist, we need a group of people who can help to file complaint about certain issues that are affecting Garifuna people and Garifuna community. We want to start to make these things become public news or get national attention on our issues, not just to keep it small among us, right? We want to get national attention. And finally, push for Garifuna representation in the nation's decision making. And this is not to say Louis Zabana, he is not representing the Garifuna people. He represents Stan Creek district of the Dangriga, Hope Creek, and Sarawee. Those are his constituency. He don't have to give zero about Garifuna people. That is not his mandate to represent the Garifuna people. It is not for him to chant for Garifuna people. His job is the area representative for the constituency, the district of Dangriga, Hope Creek, and Sarawee. The people who happen to live in those constituencies is last of his concern, right? So we need our own Garifuna representative to represent us on a national level, right? So, and that's my final, with those problems that we have, solutions that we can try to do.
Okay, let me say this. Busen na nichigo sereme lu nati Michael Flores Yara Uganda Luago Wadagman de Rebe Lela Dogube Lu La Wiwandu Lirasa Garifuna. I want to say thank you to my big brother Michael Flores in Hopkins, because Michael is doing great with the land. He's living. He's proof that you could live off the land, right? Brother Marty, have you been to the Garifuna Republic?
No, I haven't been, man. I passed it so many times. I remember when I think that first caught my attention, and I talked to a lot of people about it. Like, everybody used to find it odd that when a weird kind of plan this man guy in a farm, and when you start following him on Facebook, I think you find out that dragon fruit. I didn't know, Francois, I used to travel Hopkins every time I pass and I see this, I'm looking what you call pata, cactus, and all that thing. I said, why somebody grew all that in there? I never understand it, but there was a math behind it, man.
Yeah, well, see, it's a living proof that you can live and you can eat and you can survive off your land. So, Garifuna people, listen, get your land. Let's all fight for the restoration of Garifuna land. Let's all fight for the restoration of the Garifuna culture. Let's all fight for the restoration of the Garifuna spirituality. Brother Amari, you want to end the show?
Right, yes, Francois. Well, again, thank you guys for joining us today on the Garivision Indigenous Network Culture Me Conversation, man. Always much respect, much appreciative. I love you guys. I thank you guys. And until next time, I'll see you again.
Yeah, and before we go, let's say thank you to Melissa Rock for controlling the controls in the control room. Yeah, she's multitasking in the control room, controlling the controls. So big up to Melissa Rock. So until next week. But I'm out.
Right. Thanks. Right. Thanks to Melissa. Always to me. Likewise, Melissa. I really appreciate your work. Thank you again.
And on that note, ayo.
Right. Ayo. See you next week.